The Federal Reserve has a 110-year-old playbook to steal the AI boom from you and me. Now, I just flew back from Hong Kong, where I stood on the main stage at Bitcoin Asia and I dropped a bombshell in front of over 20,000 people. I delivered the keynote that connected 3 dots that no one else is talking about. Why AI is making everything cheaper, but you stay poor. The Fed's 1913 trick that intercepts every technology boom, and the $73 trillion glitch they can't control. Now, standing on that stage as a tech entrepreneur who's built and sold companies for decades now, as a partner at a Bitcoin venture fund, I revealed the pattern that changes everything. What you're about to see sent shockwaves through that audience. Now, the 300 million jobs that Goldman Sachs say will disappear, well, they're right about the number, but they're dead wrong about what happens next. So let me show you what I showed them. Let's go.
All right, thank you very much. We have some exciting stuff to talk about. Groundbreaking, world-changing, opportunity-changing stuff. The deflation dividend we're going to talk about right now today, but we're going to start off with the shocking number. Some of you guys might have seen this or heard this. 300 million. 300 million is the number of jobs that are supposedly going to be taken away per Goldman Sachs. It's the number of jobs that are going to be lost because of artificial intelligence, because of AI. They try to tell you that the future we're going into, there's not going to be any jobs. We might need universal basic income to take care of people. What are they going to do? Other reports say that maybe as much as half the jobs will be taken by AI. But I'm here to tell you something different. I'm here to tell you that this is not the first time that we've faced this question. In fact, history tells us, it actually shows us and gives us a blueprint for the answer. And the blueprint tells us that this is not a moment to fear, but instead, it's the greatest opportunity of our lifetime. Now, while Goldman Sachs is panicking about AI jobs being taken, what they're missing is the much bigger picture. The much bigger picture is that we're not just in a technological revolution of AI and Bitcoin and decentralization. We're in the final phase of an 80-year financial cycle that's actually resetting right now. There's a 40-year bull market in bonds that started back in the 1980s, and it's ending. Government debt levels, unsustainable. And here's the paradox. The very system that the governments are trying to save right now with money printing is designed to steal the very gains of AI from you. That's the paradox. And this creates a perfect storm. I talk a lot about cycles. It's not just a 50-year technological cycle that we have right now or an 80-year financial cycle I just showed you, but there's actually 3 cycles that are converging right now for the same time: a 50-year technological revolution cycle, an 80-year financial cycle, and a 250-year political revolution cycle. You see, the entire world is shifting right now, but very few see what's actually going on. While Goldman Sachs is panicking about AI, they're missing the bigger picture. But for now, we're going to keep this short. We're going to keep this into focusing on just the single 50-year technological revolution cycle, because that is the blueprint for what I want to talk about right now. It's what I call a quantum leap. It's where humanity takes this giant leap forward, and it happens about every 50 years. It's happened 6 times now in the last 250 years. Since the Industrial Revolution, and I'm going to walk you through those. And this blueprint happens about a 50-year time period, and there's 4 distinct phases that this goes through. Phase 1 is the technology emerges. It was introduced, it's fun, it's revolutionary, it's disruptive. We try a bunch of different things. Early adopters experiment with this technology. We got Bitcoin, then we got a cryptocurrency boom. Phase 2 is where we have the panic and the resistance. This is where AI is right now. The establishment starts to panic. Oh my gosh, governments need to get a control on this. Goldman Sachs is going to take everybody's jobs. What are we going to do? Workers start fearing replacement. Let's start talking about welfare, universal basic income. Phase 3, adoption, integration. Now the technology proves it's valuable. Businesses integrate it. New jobs start to emerge. And phase 4 is the transformation and the abundance. That's where the society is completely transformed. Living standards rise. But not if governments have their way with it. We're going to talk about that. Now, every generation thinks that this time is different. Anyone heard that before? This time is different? Well, I have the receipts. I have the receipts for 250 years of data that every 50 years, the tech wave kills drudgery, not jobs. For 250 years, the doomers have been wrong, and they're going to continue to be wrong, because the mistake that they make is they're mistaking task disruption with job disruption. It's a big difference. All right, we're going to run through this. Now, first of all, like I said, there's been 6 of these, and every time a cycle repeats, it's more likely to repeat again. We're on the 6th one. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. Let's walk through them. Phase number 1, 1771. It was the birth of the Industrial Revolution. This was the first time we had mechanized machines, machines that could do the work of 5,000 men. Oh my gosh, what do the 5,000 men do? They don't have jobs anymore. The Industrial Revolution of 1771, we saw the birth of a group of people called the Luddites. And the Luddites were afraid of something called a power loom that they feared would take their jobs. And they literally smashed the machines. They burned the machines. They were afraid of technology replacing their jobs. But what really happened? Well, we know that in Manchester, where this started, jobs grew 12 times, from 25,000 jobs to 300,000 people working in factories. New jobs emerged everywhere. Factory workers, engineers, transportation workers, coal miners. Jobs that were never there before. The first factory, Richard Arkwright's factory, had 200 people working in there. By the time Henry Ford's factory came around, we had 40,000 people working there under one single roof. Employment didn't shrink. Employment exploded. Wave number 2. This one's very relevant for where we're at today, because AI is going to replace all the drivers, self-driving cars, self-driving taxis, right? The whole transportation industry is under attack, right? Well, we saw the same thing with rails. We used to transport stuff across continents with buggies and carts, and now steam engines and railways would take away all those jobs. But guess what? New jobs emerged. Now we needed people to build the railways. Station operators, locomotive engineers, conductors. The transportation revolution didn't eliminate jobs. It created an entire economic expansion around moving goods, around moving people, but faster than ever before. Wave number 3, steel and electricity, 1875, we saw the panic. Electricity is going to take away manual labor, they told us. The reality? The global economy exploded. As a matter of fact, manufacturing went up 4 times. From 2.5 million workers to 10 million workers from 1880 to 1920. Again, new industries exploded we had never seen before. Electrical equipment, production, steel manufacturing, power generation. Wave number 4, oil and auto production. 1908. For all of humanity, people walked and rode horses, and now we had cars. Amazing. But what about the buggy makers? What about the craft manufacturers? Well, the reality is we created an entire automobile industry from nothing. Auto manufacturing, petroleum extraction, refining, gas stations, mass retail networks. One innovation didn't replace jobs. It created multiple new economic sectors. You see, people think of these things in a vacuum. It takes away jobs that we see right now, but it creates jobs that we never even imagined. Wave number 5, the computer revolution. ATMs, they're going to get rid of bank tellers. We're not going to need banks. All the people working at banks will be gone. Computers are going to replace everybody, they told us. The reality? Didn't happen. Computer-related jobs grew 10 times in 30 years, from 450,000 workers to 4.6 million workers in just 2 decades. The tech sector expanded by 20% compared to just 11% in the traditional private sector, twice as fast. Even warehousing and logistics continued to grow by 48% with computers. They didn't eliminate the jobs, those sectors grew. You see, everybody that's focused on losing jobs thinks about it with this scarcity mindset. But businesses, they want to grow. So because they can become more efficient, they don't get rid of people, they grow. the business. That's what happens. Here's a case study. Here's a perfect example of exactly what happens. We have, looking back at the ATM, everyone said they would eliminate bank tellers. Why go into the bank when I can just use an ATM, right? And we see ATMs everywhere. They're out here. But yet bank tellers are still there. Because what happened? Well, the lower costs meant that banks could afford to open up more branches. More branches means more teller jobs. And they persisted because, again, that market expanded. Technology reduced costs, so the markets expanded, and more jobs were created. And this is the pattern that happens every single time. It creates demand in areas that we didn't even know there would be demand. It creates demand for things we didn't even know we wanted or needed until they were there. Anybody ever go online shopping and you see all these things that you need that you didn't know you need until you saw them? Anybody seen that? Oh, it's just me. Okay. Well, that's what happens. Now, the current AI data is that this is what's already happening. The World Economic Forum projects 170 million jobs will be created versus just 92 being displaced. Now, that's a key differentiator, displaced. Some jobs will go away, but others will be created. So you could potentially be in a job that gets disrupted. The wonderful thing is that you can find a new job. You can learn a new skill. LinkedIn reports a 60% increase in AI job postings. There was no AI job postings before. Now those jobs are there. The BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, projects 6.7 million new jobs over the next decade. Now, before I explain why you're not getting rich from this AI boom, let me just show you how massive these productivity gains are. Programming productivity is up 126%. Technical analyst tasks are up 70%. Overall task completion up 60%. Document creation 59%. Customer service is 14% more efficient. Productivity gains everywhere. Now, the historical pattern, it never fails us. A 30 to 40% increase in task displacement creates 60 to 80% more roles, new jobs, new positions we didn't think about. So AI deletes the chore, and we as humans get a promotion. We get to work on higher value things. And AI is creating the biggest productivity revolution since electricity, and it should make all of us rich, but it won't. The question is, if every tech cycle creates this massive abundance, this efficiency gains, then why don't we feel it? Why are we working harder just to stay afloat? But why did past generations get so rich from technology, but not us? WTF happened, 1913. Anybody seen the website WTF happened in 1971? Anybody seen that website? Well, this is WTF happened in 1913. Something happened. It's when the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, was founded. It's when the classical gold standard era ended. You see, the world had been on a sound money standard, an equity-based system for millennia. But in 1913, we had the birth of the central bank, the Federal Reserve of the United States, and that was the year that money broke. Everything changed after that moment. Now, when the classical gold standard era ended, it went from about 1870 to 1913. Economists call this era, quote, the most perfect monetary system ever created. During that period, there was massive growth, massive prosperity. The growth of the economy grew by 4.2% on average. Industrial production exploded 682%. Real wages, the amount of money that people got to take home to increase their quality of life, went up by 60%, making more money, more money, more money. At the same time, inflation stayed at zero. Imagine your wages going up by 60%, but prices not going up at all. That's when real living goes up. Now, when technology made production more efficient, prices fell, so everyone got richer. The deflation dividend, as I'm calling this talk, the deflation dividend flowed directly to working people and increased their purchasing power. Now, after the gold standard era, post-1913, GDP growth started falling. And it fell from 4.6% down to 2.8%, a 33% decline in productivity from the shift. The dollar value lost 97% of its purchasing power during that decline. Productivity growth fell all the way down to less than 1% in the pure fiat era. Now, under sound money, in the gold standard era, technology made everyone richer. Under fiat money, technology makes us all poorer. We work harder and harder, our money buys us less and less, and our quality of life goes down. And this chart shows this evolutionary path. There was really 3 distinct phases, just to sort of get into this real quick. We had the gold standard era up to about from 1870 to 1913. That's when the central bank was developed. Then we went into sort of a semi-quasi, we're still sort of on a gold standard with the Bretton Woods Agreement, but we're sort of now on a central bank standard that lasted from 1913 to 1971. 1971 is when President Richard Nixon of the United States rug pulled the entire world, taking the US dollar off of the gold standard, thereby taking the rest of the world off the gold standard. And you can see average growth falling and falling and falling as we moved away from sound money standard. And here's how this works. Here's how they steal your productivity gains. So as technology, like AI, wants to give us this productivity so our lives can be easier, we can work less. They steal that productivity, and here's how they do it. So, number 1, technology improves, costs fall, prices fall, so everyone gets more purchasing power. You work less, your money buys you more goods and services in the future. But under fiat money, technology improves still, costs fall again, but this time central banks immediately print money to fight that healthy deflation. Real productivity gains get inflated away before they reach working people. It's a leaky bucket. Technology is making our lives easier. We are working less because technology does it, but all of those gains get taken away. Let me put this into some perspective and some numbers for you. About 2 years ago, inflation in the United States reached 9%. That means for the average person making $30 an hour, they had to work an extra 10 hours per month just to buy the same amount of goods and services that they did the month before. An extra 10 hours per month that could have gone to your health or your fitness, your new business, your family. But instead, you had to work those hours just to have the same quality of life that you had the month before. But this time is different. This time we have the biggest productivity revolution with AI that we've seen since the 1870s. It's happening right now. And for the first time since 1913, we have a sound money alternative. We have absolute scarcity meeting infinite efficiency. For the first time in 110 years, we can actually keep the gains. That's where Bitcoin comes in. Instead of watching your purchasing power dwindle down, instead of watching your purchasing power seep out of this leaky bucket for the last 110 years, we have digital sound money. We have Bitcoin. And here's how it captures the deflation dividend. So when AI makes us 40% more efficient, more productive, we can take that time, that cost savings that we get, and now we can store that in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, of course, is the only digital asset, scarce asset with a fixed supply of only 21 million. No central bank can print more, no politician can debase it. Your AI productivity gains that the world gets are able to be locked in Bitcoin permanently, and the energy cannot leak out of it. So Bitcoin fixes that leaky bucket of fiat money. So if we look at and compare the properties, we can see the stark difference. Fiat money has unlimited supply. It has central control. And fiat money fights this natural, healthy deflation. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is fixed supply. It's completely decentralized. Nobody controls it. It preserves that healthy deflation so our money can buy us more goods and services in the future. It stores our productivity gains perfectly across time. This is the first time technology in over a century is actually allowing us to capture the technological progress. Now, remember, we talked about the 4 distinct phases of this 50-year technological cycle. There's the institution phase in phase 1. Bitcoin's in that phase. We're seeing now in phase 2, the institutions are here. MicroStrategy, or now Strategy, is buying up as much Bitcoin as they can. Metaplanet, we keep seeing their ads pop up. They're on a race to buy Bitcoin. Every treasury company is trying to add as much Bitcoin as they can to the balance sheets. Governments are starting to accumulate Bitcoin at a rapid rate. We're watching the smart money position before this mass deployment starts to happen. The frenzy phase for Bitcoin parallels what's happening with AI. Because in these 50-year technological revolution cycles, it's not about one single technology, it's a cluster. And so Bitcoin and AI are tracking together. Both technologies are converging at the perfect moment. It's not a coincidence. This is how the cycles work. And here's the perfect pairing. AI plus Bitcoin equals the productivity revolution that we finally get to keep. Think of it this way. AI is the engine that generates massive economic energy, and Bitcoin is the battery that now stores that economic energy. We like that? Bitcoin is that battery. Now, this is digital abundance meeting digital scarcity for the first time in history. Technology finally serves us, not just central bankers. Now, for 110 years, as I showed you, our productivity gains have been stolen continuously by the money printer. Working against technology, every time we make our lives easier, they take a little bit away. AI is now creating the largest abundance boom in history. Don't get caught up in the doomers. They're just running cover so they can continue to print money and steal that from you. The greatest era of abundance is right in front of us. The biggest abundance in history is right in front of us. And now Bitcoin makes sure we finally get to keep it. You see, every generation has contributed to building the future, but we're the first ones that get to keep it. That's what I got. Thanks so much.